What's up, guys? It's Jake from Quadcast, and welcome back to the QuadCast. So the QuadCast is a podcast I ran 2 years ago, I think. I think we ran like 10 episodes. I tried to do weekly. It kind of flamed out. I was busy at school, work, all of that. And now I've decided I kind of want to try to bring it back. So QuadCast is available on almost anywhere you find podcasts, mainly Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And then you can watch the video versions here on YouTube on my Only Quad channel. So we're going to get into it. We'll talk more about what's going to go on with QuadCasts after this, but I want to keep these shorter. They're not all going to be sports, and that's the main thing. I didn't have guests because I have a lot of friends who are really good at what they do, and I want to talk to them about what they do and all of their thoughts and opinions on their favorite things. So anyways, today's topic is my move from Florida back to Michigan. A couple years ago, or not a couple years ago, it was last year. What am I talking about? Last year, I moved from Michigan to Florida as I took a job at a news station down here. And I've decided it's time to move back. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the process of moving and now moving back and all that in today's episode. So I hope you stick around. So, working in news is a very interesting thing. I like it. I won't say I love it. I like it. Working in news can be fun. It can be stressful. It gives you a bunch of different emotions. And for right now, I don't want to say I'm done with it because I do plan on getting a job back in news eventually at some point. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But you have to be built to work in news. You have to be built to be able to work in a high stress situation where things aren't going right and we're live. How can I fix what's going wrong right now? It is very taxing working in news. Anyone who's worked in news can tell you that there's a lot that goes into it. You have to be able to think quick. You have to be able to stay calm when everything's blowing up. And I've learned in this just year working in local news, a lot of people can't do that. Even people that work in news who think they're good at news can't stay calm when crap's hitting the fan. Working in news has given me a lot of respect for producers, directors, reporters, anchors, like everyone that works in news has given me a lot more respect. I hate local news. I hate watching news. I hate writing news, but I like working behind the scenes because that's more of my speed. That's more of what I like to do. I think my job sometimes can be highly stressful. I can't even imagine what my friends who are reporters go through when their stories are falling apart 2 hours before their live shot in the newscast. I can't imagine what they go through and the stress that they're feeling. But they're built for that. They know what they're doing. They're great at their jobs. Everyone that I've worked with all the reporters I work with, so for the most part, are really great at handling that. But working behind the scenes is what I like to do. When I was in school, I hated going out and shooting videos and writing scripts and doing all of the tedious work, all the stuff that you have to do like really quick, and things that you think are small can be huge when you're watching on TV. I hated that process. So I made sure not to get into that side of news. But again, my friends, the people I've worked with are great at that. There's been multiple situations where a story's not panning out, or our news director will think that there's another story that's more important, or breaking news happens and the reporter's been working on this story since 8 o'clock in the morning. It's now 2 p.m., and they have to switch their entire story. They have to switch their entire topic, and they're usually really great about being able to turn on a dime and still have that package turned around by 5 p.m. for the 5 p.m. newscast. It's a high-stress situation. But like I said, I work behind the scenes. I prefer to sit in the control room and control what comes on the TV, what you guys would see. I get to pick the cameras. I get to play the video when I feel like the video is supposed to be played, or when the script, be honest, when the script tells me the video is supposed to be played. I can play the sound bites. I can play packages. I can do all of that stuff. I like controlling that aspect. I like to be able to use that as an outlet for creative vision. Just because we've done it this way for so long doesn't mean we can't use this camera shot instead. It's little things that the average viewer wouldn't notice, but stuff that makes me feel like I have a real impact. My chair is squeaky. Why is my chair? I know why this chair is squeaky. I've had it forever, but it's so comfortable. I'm not getting rid of it. Anyways, I get tangents all the time. I really, really, really love the people I work with. That's going to be a really hard part to leave. But to understand why I'm leaving, we have to understand why I came here. So last year, it was around this time, I actually got this job. And I was really excited. I don't want to say I was in a dark period, because, and it's the same thing, like a lot of friends have been like, wow, I think that time period, like they've talked about prior to this, like you were depressed, and I never wanted to say I was depressed, or never wanted to say I was in a dark period, because I always felt like somebody's going through something worse. I have it a little better, so I can't possibly be in a dark period or be depressed or anything like that. I was just always, I'm fine. Someone else has got it worse. I'm not in the worst situation. It's okay. Not great mindset also to have, but anyways, last year around this time, I was almost 25 years old. I was spinning my tires. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was trapped in a lull. School wasn't going great. I was not a great student. I didn't know what the future held for me, and I had conditioned myself to think, well, you're 25 years old. How do you not know what the future holds for you? You should have everything figured out by now. If you think like that, don't. Do things on your own time. This is a big thing I learned from this whole thing. Just because things haven't gone perfectly so far doesn't mean it was a failure. So one of my friends was already working at the station. One of my best friends from college, Savannah, who I hope to have on this show at some point. She started working down there a couple months before I did. She pretty much graduated, took a little time off, and then moved down here to Florida from Michigan. And she had tried to get me to apply right off the bat after she started. And I said, no, there's no way in hell I want to live in Florida. I don't want to work in news. I want to do what I was doing, just full time. What I was doing was I was working at a local PBS station near my hometown in Michigan, and I loved that job. It was only part-time, but we got to work with the university. I'm actually wearing the shirt right now for those of you who can't see because you're listening. Grand Valley State. I went there, and I got to cover all of their sports. I got to travel with all the teams. I got to make packages on them. I'm basically a reporter without having to be on camera. I was a videographer editor. I did mostly that, and then I got to also help assistant produce and direct the weekly sports show. And by the end of it, I had been taking on a lot of the responsibilities to where my boss didn't have to do much, and I loved it. He was there just to kind of give his creative, like, here's what you can do. He was teaching me how to be a producer, how to post-produce and edit together a full show, a full newscast, if you will. And I loved that job. If that job had an opportunity to go full-time, I never would have moved. I never would have quit that job, never would have left it. That was one of my favorite jobs. That is actually the favorite job I've ever had. But at some point, I realized, okay, I'm turning 25. I don't have benefits. I don't have health insurance. I need a job where I can get a weekly paycheck. Because the job I had was during the summer, it slowed way down. Like I'd go from maxing out my hours every week during the school year and the semesters to all of a sudden getting maybe 5 hours a week because everything slowed way down and it stopped being go cover the sports, go do all this, and it became a lot more of the administrative stuff, organize everything, a lot of that. And I needed something that would give me consistent hours every week. And so that's why a couple months later, when Savannah again said, you should apply, we have positions opening, I finally was like, you know what? The worst thing they can say to me is no. And the second worst thing they can say is yes. That was my mindset. There was no good case scenario coming out of it. So I applied, and within 24 hours, a recruiter had gotten a hold of me after I had applied and asked, would I be interested in an interview? Of course, I said yes. Interviewed with the recruiter. The next day after that, interviewed with the news director, who we still have in our building today. And then after that, I interviewed with the assistant news director, who kind of oversaw the directors. I actually had applied. I put in 2 applications, one as a producer and the other one as a photog editor or a videographer, someone who would go out, get the stories, kind of do the you did this almost the same work as a reporter, you just didn't talk. It wasn't your voice that they would hear when your work would be shown on TV. It would be the anchor would read over whatever you had shot that day, whatever your story was. And I applied for both of them. The application for producer is the one that stuck. So I was applying for producer and talking with the news director. She said, I feel like we already have a position filled for producer, but we need a director. Would that be something you're interested in? And again, I needed a job, so I said yes. I love being a director. Being a director has really, this job has made me really open my eyes to what I want to do. I kind of knew I wanted to be a director, but I never really had a huge opportunity and a consistent opportunity to be a director. School doesn't, Grand Valley, I loved Grand Valley to death. They do not teach the behind the scenes stuff in news, the producing, the directing. They didn't really teach that unless you knew you wanted to do it. And then professors would help you with that. But basically they taught you how to be a reporter. They would teach a lot of it was called backpack journalism. One person doing all the jobs, one person who would go out, shoot the videos, find the stories, write the stories, post stories on the web, do all the pictures, video, do everything, do every aspect. And they didn't really teach a lot of the behind the scenes stuff in news. You didn't get, like I said, the only way I learned how to produce or learned how to direct, I call it learn how to direct, not really, it wasn't legitimate directing because it's a lot of money to have what a local news station does. Even a low-end local news station has millions of dollars worth of equipment. There was no way really to learn this stuff. And I don't blame Grand Valley because it takes a lot of money to be able to put in a local news station type newsroom. And a lot of people don't want to go into that anyways. They want to do the more... We had a lot of people who were really, really good writers and really, really good reporters. Grand Valley's cranked out a ton of good reporters and a ton of good writers who still write for newspapers. A lot of my friends that I graduated with, really, really successful in that role. But there wasn't a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So the behind the scenes stuff I learned was through my job at the local PBS station and through the student organization, GVTV. I will proudly rep GVTV. It's what gave me my start in behind the scenes and directing, producing, and all of that for TV. So anyways, I applied for it, and within a week, I had a job offer. And then it really started to kick in. I really started to realize in a month, I'm moving 1,000 miles. And so that happened. The move happened. I would say it went okay. My car's got scars from the move. I have scars from the move. Sliced my finger open when I was opening a box, and it bled for like 3 hours straight. Didn't go to the hospital because didn't have benefits yet. I'm dumb. But I hydroplaned into a guardrail during my move because I moved with bald tires. It was an experience. It was definitely an experience. Anyway, I started the job, and for the most part, like I was in over my head. It was only because the station I work at now has great folks working in it. I'm gonna shout out a couple people here. Hopefully they're okay with their names being said. I don't know. I didn't talk to them about it. But number one, Kylie Sapp, who was one of our evening producers. She was the one that had to deal with me learning how to direct during her shows. The only way you can learn how to direct is to direct live shows. There were mistakes, there were problems, but for the whole time, she was great about letting me learn, helping me learn, and being patient with me. Brianna was my trainer, and she was great. She still teases me all the time because I'm a backseat director. I cannot be in the room while somebody else is directing a show without going, did you remember? Have you? It's really annoying, but I've always looked at it as I want to be helpful to the show. And most of the time, the people we work with are great, and they remember all those things. I'm just, the asshat in the back of the room going, now, did you remember? And that was typically my role when I wasn't directing. But my boss, Brady, he was very instrumental in helping me learn different things and giving me opportunities anytime I asked for him about how to learn more things or how to do this. Can I take on this role? He was very instrumental in that, in allowing me to do that. Our news director, Vicky, who was one of the, for me, was easy to work with, easy to joke with. She took everything serious, but it wasn't overbearingly serious, at least with me. I was able to still, things would go wrong, I could still laugh about it and not feel totally bad if she was in the room. Our anchors, Ava, was incredibly patient. I made her look like an idiot so many times on camera during the newscasts. Channing, he came in with he had worked with a different crew, and he quickly adjusted to having me as his director and trusting me, and all of our anchors did, trusting me to make sure that I wasn't going to make him look like an idiot after I learned how to not to do that anyways. Abby, station mom, she was one of our other anchors, really great, really patient, and was the first person to actually give me constructive criticism a couple months in. That was the one thing I kind of complained about was, if I'm doing something wrong, you need to tell me I'm doing something wrong, because otherwise I'll never know. You'll just look annoyed, and I'm like, well, what did I do? So it was really, she was the first person to be like, can you do this? Can you try that? And it really caught on, and that's when I really started to, I feel like, get really good at what I was doing. Our other producers, Romani, Gio was great. He would serenade me every morning when I worked sunrise, trudging into the building at 2 a.m. to do the sunrise shows. He would serenade me every morning, and really great, hilarious person to work with. All of our reporters, I can't even name all of them because I'm going to forget one of them, and then they're going to give me crap about it. All of our reporters, I will say especially Jada. She was one of the first people to make me feel really accepted in the newsroom. Jada was great. We instantly kicked it off because we're both really sassy people and like to give each other crap, and it worked. There's a bunch of people that have left the station since then that I have become friends with. So I can't. I keep sitting here going through all of them. It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be long, convoluted, and Yeah. I will shout out one more person, our sports director, Allison Posey, who let me go out and shoot football games during high school football season, because that's what I liked to do. I never had a problem with that. I loved going out and shooting sports. It's what I want to get back into. Anyways, the reason now that I'm leaving my job here and moving back to Michigan from Florida, I looked at this as a test. I am now moving 1,000 miles away. I hardly know anybody. Savannah was the only person I knew when I moved down here. I won't have the support system that I have living in Michigan. If I can make it, if I can survive, if I can do everything, pay my bills, be an adult for the most part, it will be a success. And I feel like I passed that test. It may have been a C plus B minus. I never missed a bill, never missed a payment. Always had enough money to buy groceries, even if they were frozen and pizza rolls and not good for you. I feel like I did okay. I proved I can live on my own, but I would like a support group. I would like to be close to my family, to my childhood friends, people I'm still friends with to this day. There's a lot of benefits to living, of course, close to family. Especially for me, my family is a family of 6. We'd always done everything together. Trips, spring breaks, summers. Everyone we were a close-knit family. For the most part, we all lived in the same house forever. So moving was really, really hard, and going home, that's what I didn't go on vacations. I went home when I would take time off. I wouldn't go hang out. I wouldn't go to like Miami or Orlando or like where some of my work friends were going. I would go home and visit family. And a lot of times I would just do a weekend trip. The weekend trips weren't bad because I never got to get back into the normal of what life was like before I moved to Florida. I didn't have time. Usually going home, there were very specific reasons I was going home, whether it be Christmas, Thanksgiving, to help my brother move, stuff like that. It was very much task-driven, me going home. There were a couple of times where I just went home to visit, but again, you can't get the experience of being home for just a weekend. I made the mistake of going home last month for an entire week. It was an entire week, where we went camping with a bunch of old family friends, and I got to get back into that normal, and I didn't want to go back. Not because I hate my job, I hate the people I work with. It's because I love my family and I love that group of people, being able to see my friends and all of that. I love that more. So I enjoy my job. But the thing is, it's news. There's news stations all across the country that are constantly hiring. The station I work for is owned by a parent company that owns 2 stations in Michigan, one being in Detroit and the other being in Grand Rapids. So my boss, when I told him, he was quick he goes, I will talk to whoever I need to talk to help you get a job up there. The HR representative here at our company I will also help you talk to whoever you need to talk to. The best part was a lot of my collegehood. Is that a thing? Not childhood, but collegehood. We're going to go with it. All of my collegehood friends were, if you need a job, let me know. We're hiring. I can get you I can help you get a job if you need to. That was really refreshing. And it was also really refreshing that everyone at work knew I wasn't leaving because I hated it. They knew how close I was with my family, and they knew When I interviewed, I told them I didn't plan on staying here too long, that if I could get a job in the sports world, I would, and that would be what causes me to leave. Well, Corona kind of screwed that up. You can't get a job in sports if there are no sports. The sinuses are flaring up. Maybe I'll keep that in, maybe not. It was very much a they knew I wasn't leaving because I hated it, or I was unhappy, or I was leaving because it was time to leave. That was my opinion. It was time to leave. It was coming out to be the perfect timing. My lease was coming up. The next place I was going to live, the lease started almost 10 days after my current lease ended, so I would have to live in an Airbnb for 10 days. Wasn't real thrilled about that. Wasn't thrilled about moving. I'm still not thrilled. I mean, my move just got 100 times worse, but it won't be as bad. So it's very much the timing worked out perfectly. I could get out of the lease that I had signed that hadn't started yet without any problems, get that security deposit I paid back. And had I stayed on and started that new lease, it would have cost me a lot of money to get out of it. Because I was actively looking for a new job closer to home. And my worry was that if I got it just after that new lease started, I would be out a lot of money to move, moving cost number one, and then having to pay to get out of my lease. That was what was really worrying me. So moving back to Michigan, I'm really excited about it. I'm thrilled. I love the people I work with. I'm going to be sad to see them go. July 24th, my last day, counting down. Only 12 more days. I have to direct 20 more shows. So I'm looking forward to being closer to home. I will miss everyone, but being closer to home was my number one priority. So I am peaking. I guess I can't sit this close to the mic and talk in my normal voice. Interesting. Hopefully this audio didn't turn out all modulated. Probably didn't. But so QuadCasts, my plan for them. It's not going to be all sports like the last version was. There's no sports going on right now. But the reason I started that back then was it was a creative outlet. And I'm going to have some free time. So I want to have my creative outlets back. I'm expecting to work a lot on this. I'm planning on working on a lot of content, whether it be I have some stuff that I've been working on for sports stuff, just kind of general stuff because there is nothing going on right now. Top 10 list, that kind of stuff. I'm working on some normal videos that are going to go up on the Quad Squad channel. Check that out on YouTube, along with, if you're watching the video version of this, it's probably my Quad Squad channel is probably linked somewhere on this channel. Hopefully I was smart enough to do that. Or I'm smart enough to do that before this releases. But the main reason I wanted to do this again is another friend of mine is putting out a podcast. It's going to be a short one, kind of like this. And he asked if I wanted to be on it. And once he starts that up, I'll give you guys all the info on that one. He asked if I would want to be on it. And I said, of course. What are we talking about? I always tell friends, yeah, I'll do that. But what's it going to be? Really should get to learn the information before I commit to things. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. But he started talking about it, and I was like, I remember doing this, and really made me think about, I have a lot of friends that I could talk to and reach out to, who have a lot of life experiences that are fun stories, and I want to start talking to them. I'm gonna get some of the people that are from this station I work at to tell some of the stories from their time reporting or producing, or we're going to talk about that. I have a lot of friends who are huge into the sports world. They're like me, dummies, but they have experiences and things. And when sports do kind of start to come back, hopefully, maybe, possibly, stay safe, wear a mask, give me my sports back. They will be able to talk about some sports. But otherwise, if I want to talk about current events, I can talk about it. If I want to just tell stories, I can talk about it. If I want to have friends on and talk about movies, we can talk about it. So I kind of want to that's what I wanted to do. I just kind of wanted to have a general podcast, whether it be, and just not really have a niche, but just kind of be all over the place. And hopefully some people stick around. They like that. Next week, I'm going to try to have, I'm not going to commit to this, but I'm going to try to do a weekly podcast. If they're short like this one's going to be probably 35 minutes long, if even that. Maybe 30, hopefully. If I stop rambling and get to the point, they'll be shorter podcasts instead of the 2+ hours or an hour and a half long podcast I was putting out back then. Shorter ones, easier to digest on a drive or whatever. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to move closer to home, see what job opportunities I have. I've applied for a ton of jobs already, interviewed for a couple, so I'm looking forward to it. I have a lot of people who are great references, and that was when I kind of realized I'm kind of good at what I do. I've never wanted to be somebody who toots their own horn or talks themselves up, but the response for the people that I work with when they heard that I was leaving made me realize I have some good friends here and I'm good at what I do. So I think it's going to be it. Otherwise, I'm just going to ramble and not talk about anything. I'm not going to say anything important if I just keep going. So anyways, hey, QuadCasts are back. Video version on Only Quad. Audio only version, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, almost anywhere. There's a lot of places. I can't even remember where this podcast goes out to. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys stick around. Get to hear some crazy stories from me and my friends and our thoughts on things going on. It's kind of going to be all over the place. I'm excited for it. Anyways, I've said that like 4 times now. I've been Jacob from Quad Hunting. Thank you for listening, if you're still listening. And I will see you guys all, or you guys will hear me all next time. That didn't make sense. I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, see ya.